In today's live stream video, I'm going to discuss with my guest how we can make money reselling books. She'll share her tips and techniques and strategies to help make us more successful and profitable resellers. Every Wednesday, I have a live stream, and I usually interview another reseller and have them share the tips, tricks, and techniques to help make us more knowledgeable and profitable. If you're interested in reselling, then you are in the right place. Guys, just going to pop in the chat for a little period here and say hello to a few people. And okay, so a few people here. Let's see. We have Sharon, Randy. Appreciate you being here and moderating. Patrick Murphy's in the house. My guest is in the house. Mike Flipping Goodies. Maggie, always good to see you, Maggie. Thanks for stopping by. And Lisa C is in the house. Let me see if I can get that StreamYard thing off of there, guys. And I was playing around with something, and let's see. There we go. That's better. Okay. I'm going to bring my guest on. My guest is Katey Reads, and she'll do a little introduction of herself. And then, like I said, we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the show. Again, we're going to be discussing, buying books for resale on eBay and Amazon. So let me bring Katey on and have her introduce herself. Hello, hello.
Hi, Adam. Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate it.
Well, my name is Katey. I own Katey Reads. I resell on eBay, Amazon, Etsy, and a little bit on Mercari. Books are my niche. I sell everything, but books are just what I know. They are what got me started 2 years ago. So books are my favorite thing to sell. I sell modern books, but my favorite are vintage and antiquarian books. I'm actually learning more about antiquarian books and getting them like properly graded and stuff. So that is where a lot of my eBay and Etsy sales are. And then I also run a local free book pickup service because I do have a environmental passion behind what I do with books as far as, trying to keep them out of landfills and things like that.
Okay, and you're in Michigan, and
yes, I'm in Michigan.
Okay, that's okay. And I believe you have a daughter, correct?
Yes.
Any pets?
I have a 12-year-old.
Yeah, I know you're active, and we'll get into that a little bit. But you're active with pets. Do you have any pets yourself at home?
Yes, I do mostly fostering.
Okay.
We don't have any permanent pets in the house. It's mostly just because that way I can foster kind of any animal, especially if they're sick and things like that.
Okay.
So right now, no permanent pets.
Okay, well, I know I have a lot of fur baby lovers in the chat, so I wanted to bring that up because I know they greatly appreciate what you're doing. So, all right, we're going to get into the show, guys. And again, you actually work for an animal shelter, correct? That's your full-time job?
I do, yeah. So I'm a part-time reseller, and my 9 to 5 is I'm an operations manager at an animal shelter.
Super. Like I said, we have a lot of fur baby lovers in the house. So
awesome,
make sure I put that up, okay? All right, so let's get into, the meat and potato, guys. We're going to talk about basically purchasing books for resale. I'm going to ask Katey a little bit about her reselling business, and like I said, then we'll get into actually the selling of the books. So I know you're on a couple of platforms. Why don't you tell the people in the chat what platforms you're on?
Yeah. So eBay and Amazon are my two meat and potatoes platform, I guess. Etsy, I just started dabbling with, and so far it's been going pretty well. I've been using like book craft stuff and a little bit more crafty stuff for Etsy, and it's therapeutic. I mean, it's kind of fun, so it's just kind of like this fun money right now with Etsy, but we'll see where it goes.
Okay. And as far as when you're running I know you concentrate more on your channel. We'll get into towards the end of the video about your YouTube channel per se. But I know you concentrate mostly on your videos about eBay because there's not a lot of videos out on eBay selling books. I'm more on the Amazon. So I'm going to ask you a few questions about your eBay platform. The basic questions. Do you run sales?
Oh, yeah.
How about best offers? Do you accept best offers?
Yep. I always have best offer on.
Okay. And what's your feeling about running promoted listings?
All my listings are promoted at least 1%. Sometimes So I go back and forth between 1%, or if I don't feel like running a sale for a while, I'll boost the 1% to 4%, because kind of either way, I'm either paying more to eBay to boost it, or I'm taking less if I do a sale. So that's sometimes what I will do too. I haven't done it enough to like have data to know which way is best. They both make me money and make me sales. So
You kind of read my mind. That was my next question. I mean, and again, it's kind of like which I'm going to ask you after this, but it's the old $64,000 question. Do you offer free shipping? But I want to stay on the promoted listings for a second here. So you're doing like 1-2%, or do you do trending, or what is your philosophy on that?
when I first started doing promoted listings, I did trending. And then I just did a bulk update to all my listings and did 1% just to kind of see. And 1%'s been working for me.
Good.
I haven't, books by design are slower sellers, but they have extremely low return rate too. So, books are just kind of, I've had some books sell overnight. I mean, and I've had some sell within hours. I mean, every content is different, but books in general are kind of just a little bit longer game anyways. So I have the patience for that because I have other items in my store too. And, I have quite a few listings, and volume kind of makes up for that a little bit too. So.
Okay. Maggie actually had a question, and of
Okay.
course, she was asking about cross listing.
Do you cross list all books to your platforms, or certain books to certain platforms? That's a really great question. So with Amazon, I use a scouting app that's called Scout IQ, and that requires you to have an ISBN number or a barcode to know if it's profitable to send into Amazon FBA. I am exclusively Amazon FBA. So those books are being sent to a warehouse, so I can't cross list those. Those are strictly going to Amazon. I don't do Amazon Merchant Fulfilled. So yes, to answer your question, I do have some books that are strictly going to Amazon. I do cross list with Mercari and eBay for some books. And then Etsy, I will cross list eBay and Etsy with some of like the vintage antiquarian books that kind of goes along with the aesthetic that Etsy is, because it's kind of like the vintagey, crafty platform.
Okay. So basically, and what Katey said, guys, if you missed it, she doesn't do FBM or fulfilled by merchant. She ships the books that she ships to Amazon directly to Amazon and have them handle this delivering, customer service, etc. So therefore, she couldn't cross post books that she
Right.
sends to Amazon. But
Right.
I guess when you do have books that you list on eBay, I imagine that you cross post those then.
Yeah. So I do have some that I cross post with Mercari, and then the more vintage, older ones I cross list with Etsy.
Okay. And you were saying, what were we saying? Centenarian? What was the term you're using?
Oh, antiquarian.
Antiquarian. I'm sorry, that's my brain.
Yeah, those are books that are 100 years or older.
Okay, so you pick up books that are 100 years and older.
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah,
Yeah, because I had a question about that. I saw some of your books, and we're going to get into it a little bit later, guys. We're going to try to cover from A to Z. Just touch on it. To pique your interest, and if you are, a reseller of books, and then again, we'll talk about Katey's channel, YouTube channel at the end. But Katey has a lot more detailed videos about this. But we're just going to touch on it, like give you guys like a general knowledge of everything, and then if you want more information, you can follow Katey on YouTube and watch her videos. But yeah, I was curious about that. I was looking at some of the books you're looking at, and like the bindings were like, I mean, again, I'm not a bookseller, so don't disparage me for my questions or whatever. But the books, the bindings looked like pretty bad condition. But they were books, I guess, that were over 100 years old. Is that what it is?
So I mean, vintage is anything over 20. And so some books are like from the 30s and 40s, so not quite antiquarian, but old.
Right.
And then the antiquarian books, like, yeah, I've sold books from the 1800s. One book, I haven't made a video on it yet. I need to, but last year, a year ago, I sold, my biggest sale was one book sold for $500 to someone in France. And I got it for $3 at an estate sale. It was from 1901. So Yeah, antiquarian books are honestly kind of my favorite because those are the collectors and those are the people that are willing to pay up for those kind of unique or hard to find books.
Like I scratched that question off. That was one of my questions. Your biggest flips. You already answered
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So now again, this actually came up when most of you guys know Johnny, the Cajun Roots reseller. Actually, I misspoke. It actually came on Mike Yinzer Picker show last night about using GSP or Global Shipping Program through eBay.
Hmm.
You said you sold this book to France, Byron France.
Yeah, yep,
Do
I
you ship
do.
direct? Do you use the global shipping? How do you do that?
No, I use I don't remember what it's called, GDP or GSP. I don't
GSP, Global Shipping Program.
GSP. Yeah. Um, I do the global shipping program. Yeah.
Okay, guys. And again, I know the vast majority of you are experienced resellers, but for the people that may be watching the replay, I like to, spell things
Break
out
it down.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. So I know like some people this actually came up with Johnny's chat about bolos, be on the lookout for it. That was an old, police term, it used to be APB, all points bulletin, and then it became bolo, be on lookout for. So again,
Mhm.
people said, I never knew what a bolo was. So basically, GSP stands for Global Shipping Program. It's a program you have to set it up in eBay, and what you do is when the customer purchases the book, you ship that book to give you when you print out your address. It actually goes to eBay's facility in Kentucky, and then
Yep.
they collect customs or whatever has to be done. They handle all that for you,
Mhm.
and they ship the book off to the buyer, and you don't have to be concerned about it because once it gets to Kentucky, in a good condition, you're good to go. So
Yep.
eBay handles the rest.
Yep.
So if you guys aren't involved in the global shipping program, you definitely want to consider it. So
I would. Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. All right, we have Mr. Bobby in the house. Thanks for joining us, Bobby. Appreciate you, my
Hi,
friend.
Bobby.
Okay. When we get into sourcing a little bit, tell us a little bit about your sourcing, how you source, where you
Mhm.
source.
So initially when I first started, my sourcing was through my free book pickup service. I didn't have capital. So, and by capital, I mean I didn't have the extra funds to go out and start sourcing to get myself started. So I used my free book pickup service to start kind of getting capital and then being able to go out and start sourcing. But the free book pickup service has just been so successful for so long, and I work with lots of different big organizations now. And it's just kind of brought some community purpose to what I do that I just haven't stopped it. So essentially, what that is people, just anybody, I will come and pick up books from their house for free as long as they're in my county. If they're outside of my county, I do charge for gas, but that's it. And I just charge the standard IRS gas per mile charge. Um, and I also work with schools, colleges, other organizations, other nonprofits that can't use the books, don't need them anymore. I've worked with libraries that kind of purge books and don't put them in their library sales. So, yeah, that's been the biggest way of me sourcing. Nobody else in my area is doing it. I kind of have my whole county, like I'm the book girl in my county. That took a while. I mean, that took me 2 years, but I'm the book girl. So everybody knows to come to me. I have a Facebook page, I have a website, like all of that. Then I would say library sales and estate sales are also my go-to because I live in Michigan, so those are all year long, even when it's snowing because it's inside. So
Get to be about that time, right?
yeah,
We're almost November.
yeah, so those are my next favorite. And then after that, your thrift stores, Goodwill, Salvation Army, and then garage sales. I've had pretty good success at garage sales too. People will have a box of textbooks for $2 because a lot of people just don't know what they have or they don't care, or books, a lot of people see books as junk. So I take advantage of that.
And again, I'm just if you can clarify a little bit about the
Yeah,
book service that you have, and
yeah.
and maybe get into a little bit of how you built that offer. If somebody wants to do that in their community, so you're running some kind of ads. I'm assuming somewhere, Facebook, or obviously you can explain that where you're running ads.
Yeah, I've
And
literally in the
what's the catch line? How do you get people to donate the books for?
Yeah, so when I first started, it was word of mouth. I am just really heavily involved in my community. So I went to all the service clubs. I went to all the people that I knew had the right connections. I have very close connections with 3 of the libraries in my area. So I just went to the right people first, gave my business card, and put it out there. On my business card, it says that I'll pick it up for free. I made a Google Voice number, so it wasn't my personal cell phone I was giving out. I gave my email, and then I just kind of list a few genres that I'm looking for. And then when they reach out to me, if they have other genres like fiction or maybe something that wasn't on the business card, but they have a lot of other things, I'll just take it all, because there could be a chance that that fiction could still be worth some money. So that's how I started with it. And then I created my Facebook page, and that kind of blew up because I have just really supportive friends and family, and I have a really good network of people. I'm just blessed, I guess, is the only way to put it. And so it was just word of mouth, and then Facebook kind of grew that. I've only done one Facebook marketing ad for $10.
Wow.
And that blew up my Facebook. So I have a lot of people following me now. Every now and then I'll post in Marketplace. So once every couple months I'll post in Marketplace. And then like I said, I work with school districts and colleges. So they tell people and they tell people, and, it just kind of, because I focus on my local county, the word of mouth has worked really well for me. So yeah, my catch line is just pretty much, if you have unwanted books, I'll come pick them up for free. Or if you're decluttering, like I present it like I have a solution to a problem. And their problem is they have books that they need to get rid of, and they don't want to take it to Goodwill, or they don't want it going to Goodwill for whatever reason, or, whatever. When they ask me what I do with them, I'm honest. I tell them that I am a book reseller with a goal of keeping books out of landfills. So I will resell what I can, which is usually 3 to 5% max. Sometimes it's more. It just depends on the pickup and the situation. And what I can't sell are recycled or given back, because I work with libraries and other nonprofits. It's given back into our local community. And so that's 100% transparent with them. And I've only had one person in 2 years tell me that they didn't want to do that.
Well, it's funny you say that, because that's like, again, I use these old terms all the time because I'm old, but like the $64,000 question, it's kind of like when you're shopping at yard sales or garage sales, and it comes up and people are like seeing you checking prices on your app or whatnot. I says, "Are you a reseller?" I'm honest. I say, look,
yeah, me too.
I do reselling part-time. Sometimes I buy things for myself personally. Sometimes I buy it from my friends, or sometimes I resell it. So yes, I do resell.
And it's like when you're recording too, like sometimes they'll ask you, are you recording, or are you taking pictures, or what are you doing? And I mean, I'm honest, because it's going to end up on a YouTube video. So I tell them, and sometimes people are like, you know what, can you not do that? This is my uncle's house or my grandpa's house or whatever, especially like at estate sales. Some of them have signs up that you can't record.
Right.
And then other people are like, oh, that's cool. What's your channel? I'll go follow you, like that kind of thing. And, you get a sub and you get some inventory. So that's always fun.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm pretty
you may
transparent.
understand one of the questions, but I'll ask you is, do you have lending library houses like the blessing boxes where you live?
So they're not called lending libraries. They're called free little libraries in my area. So they are little boxes. It looks like a mailbox in a way, but it's a box, and you open the door, and you can put books in there for free. And I actually have a YouTube video where 5 days in a row, I go to a ton of different free little libraries in my city, and I fill them up with books that I can't resell. And I fill them up. So that is something I frequently do too. And sometimes I just go out to them and just kind of make sure that, because sometimes people, they get beat up and people will throw junk in them and stuff like that. So sometimes I'll just go and check on them, and because I do care. I do like the concept. So
yeah, was that something that just started recently with pandemic? I'm seeing that in my community as well.
I mean, I saw them before the pandemic.
Okay.
but I would say it's grown quite a bit seeing the free little libraries and then seeing the free food pantries.
Gotcha.
In my area, they're called blessing boxes or free food pantries.
Okay.
And so I've seen a growth of both of those in my areas.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. I always wondered about that. I didn't know if that was like a community thing or they did it through charity or
Yeah, a
if
lot of
people just got
service
an idea to
clubs
do it and put, I didn't
A
know.
lot of service clubs will do it. You'll see
Okay.
it in front of like maybe domestic violence shelters or different nonprofit areas, but now people are just putting them up in their front lawns. People are putting them up at parks. People are putting them up all over the place. So yeah, I've definitely seen more.
See, guys, that's why you watch this channel. You learn something new every time you watch this channel. I always
Yeah.
wonder, it's like, I wonder what's the theory behind this. And I just assume it was because of the pandemic that people figured a lot of people home that instead of, like you
Yeah.
said, donating the books, they were just putting them in these boxes. But they all look kind of uniform. And I'm thinking, why do you get all these uniform looking boxes
Hmm.
to put them up? So you
Yeah.
said it's pretty much charities that probably donate the boxes and they mount them on
Hmm.
the property.
Yeah.
Okay. You looking for a question in the chat, or you look like you're
Yeah. Randy asked,
Randy?
do you take requests? And I think he means like requests for certain books. And I have
Okay.
had a few people reach out to me online on eBay about, I'm a collector. Would you, if I paid you, whatever, would you look for books? I'm just not comfortable having that type of relationship with someone online that I don't know in real life. Just because I don't know, that's just kind of like a trust thing. That's almost like a partnership to me. So I do have a client list, but it's local people that I know personally. And I have Google Sheets on my phone, and I just put in on Google Sheets the person's name, the books they're looking for, and then when I'm out and about, I'll check that list and see if there's anything that I come across.
Okay, so I know people do that. Like they'll have, like I said, I guess if they're selling a Facebook Marketplace or whatever, and people say, "Oh, if you ever get any more,
Yeah,
whatever,"
yeah, yeah.
like I wouldn't sell Gucci bags, but you know what I'm saying. If you get any more Gucci bags or or
Yeah, and
Coach
a lot
bags
of
or
it is
something,
like
I'm always
moms,
interested.
like they're looking for Captain Underpants books or,
Specific, right?
that type of thing. Or a college student's like, well, if you ever come across these textbooks, let me know, and that kind of thing. So
Okay, that was one of the other questions I had for, and again, I said majority sell books now, but you do sell a few other odds and ends, right, in your store.
yeah, so I'll sell pretty much anything that makes a profit. Lately, I've been kind of really into toys. Toys are selling really well. I think the only thing I really don't source are shoes and clothing because I don't like them. I can't get into it.
Some
But
people do
yeah,
very well,
I
but I agree.
I
Clothing is a lot of work.
yeah, I list pretty much anything and everything. I do media like, CDs, DVDs, 8 tracks. I've recently gotten to
Don't
8
forget the
tracks.
VHS as well,
Mhm. So,
especially blind
yeah.
field VHS. Apparently, that's a big thing. I never see it, but
Yeah, horror VHS sells really well, vintage horror VHS, like certain ones and covers and all that stuff. So I'm learning a little bit more about that too. But yeah, I like to keep my store diversified. And then as far as Amazon, like I will send other products besides just books. I'll send in, grocery products, toys products, like, whatever will make me a profit.
okay. Now, and then when you're sourcing for books, I mean, is there anything? I mean, again, your experience. How long have you been reselling again?
I started in March of 2019, like
Okay,
full time. I've always been on eBay, but just sporadic
right.
here and there, getting rid of stuff around the house. But like taking it seriously, March of 2019.
And I know between watching your videos and speaking to you, doing a pre-interview, you said your father was the one that was in the reselling. That's kind of where you got
Yeah,
the bug.
I've been on eBay for like almost 11 years, and my dad, I remember in high school, maybe even middle school too, but he had a wholesale store on eBay and he sold perfumes. And I remember helping him, ship stuff and get stuff boxed up. He did some drop shipping, but he got a wholesaler's license and purchased a lot in, bulk and flipped it that way. And so my dad's always been like hustling like that. So it was just kind of something I, you know, picked up on. Craig, 11 years would not have made me 15. I am 32. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
there you go.
I'm still not afraid to say my age yet. In
That's
a couple
good.
more
That's a
years, I
good
might
thing.
be
Well, wait to get a little bit older, you will be. There's like that period between like usually like early 30s to like early 40s, like you don't have a problem, and then at the end of
Yes.
40s and 50s and 60s, it's like, then there's when you're 60s, I'm old, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I know we talked about, I think you mentioned library sales as well. Why don't you get a little bit again? I told you we're going to get into a little bit about, a little more into details about sourcing. What kind of sites? I know you mentioned one site to me earlier where you can search for library sales, that type of thing.
Yeah. So I use booksalefinder.com, and it lets you search by state. And so once you go into booksalefinder.com, you click your state, and it will show you all the book sales in all cities in your state that have reported it to that website. So sometimes you'll have book sales that you'll need to keep an eye out on, like maybe on Facebook, if they have like a Friends of the Library Facebook page. Friends of the Library are typically the group that sells the books because it has to be kind of like a separate entity from the actual library.
Okay.
I only know that because one of my friends is a librarian. And so she kind of explained like the dynamic. It's got to kind of be like a separate entity of volunteers that price it, handle the cash, do all the stuff, and then the money is donated to the library. So
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. Okay.
yeah, that's how it was explained to me.
Okay, well,
So
that makes sense. Makes perfect sense. And that you explained it to me.
yeah. So I mean, that's how it's explained to me. So Friends of the Library is typically like either on the website of the library or they'll have a Facebook page. But Book Sale Finder is I mean, they will show you anything and everything
Okay.
in your state. And it's very common. Like I don't know of any libraries that don't use Book Sale Finder. I mean, there probably are some, but
Right. Now, do you also, I guess, do you check like Craigslist and Facebook groups, and where else do you?
so I don't get on Craigslist a lot. And I think it's just because my area, because I live in a small town, the only listings in Craigslist that are close to me are like an hour away, like either an hour away north or an hour away south getting into Ohio. So it's like I don't really get on Craigslist a whole lot. I do have like a local radio station that has a website and they'll post classified. So sometimes I'll browse that. But honestly, like Facebook is where I do a lot of my searching for, library sales. Estate sales, I use estatesales.net.
Right.
That's an app, so it's super convenient, and they post
And also, you can
pictures.
also access it online as well.
Yeah, and you can get it online as well. But I like it because it's an app. Like literally, I can, in my downtime, I can go click on the app, see what sales are coming up, and they post pictures. So I can even see if it's like worth my time. Now, granted, I'm looking for books, but I'm also looking for other things too. So it's nice to see like what type of sale it is and what type of items they have.
Okay, since you're young, I won't mention your age. Do you ever do any kind of dumpster diving when like the college students are moving out of the dorms?
It
Do
is
you
so
ever?
funny. I have not done that yet,
Okay.
but I really want to. And I want to do it with a local guy in my area that dumpster dives. He has a
Okay.
YouTube channel. Um, it's called Grab It Fast. I'll give him a
Okay.
little plug.
Okay.
I've never met the guy yet, but I do
Right.
want to dumpster dive with him sometime. Because he's right in my town and he comes in my town and he does dumpster diving. He finds all types of stuff.
Right.
So I haven't done that yet, but I really do want to do it, and I would love to like meet him and collab with him sometime just because I am a female and like
Oh, I
doing that at
understand.
night by
Oh, yeah.
myself, like it would be nice having someone
Absolutely.
else there. But yeah, I've always wanted to. I have always wanted to. And the colleges in our area actually like they don't make a big deal about it apparently. So I definitely want to try and do it sometime at the colleges in our area and see what I can find.
Do you run like ads? Like, I mean, I haven't been to college in a very long time, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess. But
Mhm.
do you run some kind of ads like in college? I don't, do they still have college newspapers? I guess everything's online now, right?
Yeah, so it would probably mostly be online or like posted up at dorms. I
Right.
actually have a family member that works for a local community college,
Okay.
and how she kind of explained it to me is like they can post it up for me, but only for a certain amount of time. And then the other colleges, like their libraries were willing to work with me, but they were kind of weird about me having like a drop off box or something like that because they want the students to give the books to them and they have their own drop off, like charity
Right.
boxes that get recycled and stuff. So in my immediate area, it hasn't quite worked out, but I have posted on my Facebook page that I will take unwanted textbooks
Right.
or I've even done like an ad where I'll pay you $5 more than the, bookstore or 5 to
Okay.
$10 more than the bookstore, depending on the book. And I've gotten some textbooks that way too. But vintage and antiquarian have just done so well for me that I've kind of tunnel vision to that.
Okay.
Um, so
So
yeah,
you
I've,
find
I've
them
tried
more
it
in the
all.
thrift,
I've tried it all.
you find them more in the thrift stores and estate sales, that type of thing.
hmm hmm
So you really haven't concentrated that much on college, but I'm assuming you're going to add that to your
Yeah, and I
belt, so
think
to speak.
I myself am finishing my bachelor's degree, so I'll be
Okay.
done in December. So I think I'll just have like more time,
Okay.
more ability to network and kind of get back out there. My evenings have kind of just been dedicated to finishing up schoolwork and then being a mom. So I think once I have a little bit more time on my hands, I can focus a lot more on my business, on my YouTube channel, things like that. Not that I'm making excuses. I know there's a
No,
lot of
no,
people out
no.
there that
You
can make
know,
stuff happen, but
it's a lot of
that
things. I
last
mean,
semester is
to
no
be a
joke. You can't
single
get senior
parent and
fever.
full time job and a reseller,
Yeah.
a lot on your plate.
Yeah.
Maggie had a question. Have you had any issues selling textbooks from certain categories? Or
The
companies. I'm sorry, a
companies.
category in mind. Certain companies
So
selling from
the
certain
thing with
companies.
textbooks on Amazon is you're typically restricted with most textbooks.
On
It
Amazon.
takes a while. Certain companies, I haven't had any issues, knock on wood. I haven't had any issues. I recently got ungated in McGraw Hill and Pearson. So
Ungated means you have the ability to
yeah,
sell it on
I'm no
Amazon.
longer restricted.
Hmm.
I made a purchase, submitted an invoice, and I've been ungated. Um,
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? So
mhm.
you have to purchase from a wholesaler, so to speak, to get
I
ungated.
purchased from them direct. I purchased something that I would be able to resell and make like $1.50 each on like these book pamphlet things, but they were cheap. And I purchased 10 of them. I submitted the invoice and, I got
Okay,
ungated. So that's just stuff that I've been doing also throughout this year is trying to get ungated in more categories in
sure.
Amazon so I can grow that as well in the future years. But yes, as far as having issues, there are companies and lawyers out there that will purchase textbooks and try to claim that they're fraudulent. There are textbooks coming over to the US from India that are fake, like they're
Oh,
just straight up fake textbooks.
not
So,
bad.
yes, textbooks are something that you have to be very careful with. And you have to know what you're doing. You have to do the research and make sure that it's an authentic book.
How about the various categories? And you and I were discussing pre-chat, and I'm sure my friend Beth, who saw a rowboat, she's probably busy. It's their typical dinner time, but she always watches the replay. So shout out to Beth. We had discussed you're kind of shying away from cookbooks. You said, well, you will get back. Why don't you share with us some of the things? I guess that we'll bring up that term "bola" again, and obviously be on the lookout for. We mentioned that before. What are some of the types or categories of books to be on the lookout for when you're out thrifting or garage
Yeah,
sale?
I would say so. Like when I walk into a library sale, the very first section that I go to is nonfiction. And I'm looking at self-help, religious. Religious sells really, really well for me. And I'm looking at self-help, religious, and then I go to like business, and then I'll probably start going into like hobbies, animals, like historical war stuff, and then I'll start branching out there. Cookbooks for me in my area, like they're just not home runs for me. I know some people that just do really, really awesome with them. I'm unfortunately not one of those people. Now, Joy of Cooking, I'll always grab that because that's an easy $20 bill for me, especially the older ones. I can get more for them. So Joy of Cooking, I do always look out for that. I've sold some other random cookbooks, but overall, like my area just has a lot of like those local church or school, like people submitted a recipe and someone made a book kind
Yeah.
of thing. And they just, they're not
Gotcha.
well known, so they're not selling. So for me, that I would say that's my opinion as far as like cookbooks. But the categories that I gravitate to, that's kind of how I approach library sales and things like that.
Okay, and more of a general question, I guess. And again, I want to get into a little bit into the apps. You did mention you use Scout IQ. Why don't you go over a little bit about the apps that you use, and when say you're going to a thrift store? Again, I don't typically look for books, but I will in the future. Let's just say they have a shelf of 200 books. Are you actually you're using your Scout IQ app to scan the books? Do you have a service where you can scan it with your smartphone? Correct.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's just the reality of book selling on Amazon. You just have to put in the work. So yeah, I kind of know what to look for now. I won't scan the fiction first. I would go to the nonfiction first and textbooks first. But yeah, I'm scanning everything. And in reality, like I went to an estate sale, I scanned 67 books last weekend and 4 of them were profitable on Amazon. Like that's just the reality. That's just kind of how it is. However, then I did a second scan through and I found 2 books for eBay and 4 that I want to put on Etsy. So it's just, you can find more depending on your platforms and how you're educating yourself with those platforms and what sells and things like that. So I use Scout IQ. I use the eBay app, obviously. And for those that maybe don't want to purchase a scouting app, you can definitely use the Amazon Seller Central app. You
Amazon Seller
definitely
app on your phone.
can. Um, it's a little, I would say it's a little lagged, and the Amazon Seller Central app is only going to show you the sales rank. The thing I like about Scout IQ is it shows me all current FBA offers, all current not FBA offers, and then it shows me something that they call an e-score, and that e-score shows me how many times it's sold recently.
Okay.
So not only am I seeing the sales rank, but I'm also seeing how
It says
often it's
velocity.
selling. So that's telling me a demand, which is what you look at when you go to eBay and you look at sold comps. Like
Mhm.
if there's only 2 sold comps, yeah, it's
The
selling,
sell through
but
rate
maybe
or
it's
sales
not selling
velocity. Yep.
super crazy or super fast, or it's super rare. It's context.
Right.
So yeah, those are the apps I use for that. And then I use Google a lot because I sell a lot of foreign language books. I haven't talked about that yet, but I
Okay.
sell a lot of foreign language books. There's a lot of them that I find in my area. So I use the Google lens I use the translate feature to help me figure out what the language is. And so that way I can look it up on eBay, because unless it's Spanish, I don't know what it is. So I use the Google Lens a lot to help me find items. Like if I just, especially toys, like sometimes I just don't know where this toy is from. I don't know if it's Disney, if it's Pixar, if it's Fisher Price. Like I just don't know this toy. So I will use Google Lens a lot to help me look up items. So I would say those are the biggest apps that I'm using when I'm at the thrift store or outsourcing.
Just again, I had written down. I know Scaticue is kind of hot right now. Back in the day, it was Scatify.
Hmm.
Are you familiar with the two? I mean, if you're familiar with the one, obviously. But
Yeah.
what is the difference between the two? And is it more book seller related, Scaticue, or pricing, or what's features, or
So I mean, you've got Jungle Scout, you've got Scoutly.
right? Scoutly's
I
another one.
chose Scout IQ because uh, I like having that e-score. Like they're the only ones that have that e-score feature,
Can you
and they
explain that
also
again? The
have,
e-score.
yeah. I'm sorry.
Can you explain the e-score again for people that may have?
Yeah. So the e-score is showing you how many times it's sold. Um, and I also like the feature of it has a Teams mode. So my younger sister, her boyfriend is, or her fiance now, is very into swap meets and flea markets and auctions. And so they're out and about at places that I'm not at. And she is on my team on Scout IQ and has her own login. And she's actually able to search for books while she's out and about. And every book that she finds for me, I give her $1. So that's another feature that I really, really like. And then as far as like customer service, it's amazing. Like literally you can email the, Caleb Roth, who created and founded the app and runs the business. You can email him and he'll email you back right away and help you out with what you need. So I would just say, like, as far as customer service, the quality, the money it's made me, I have no reason to switch or look into anything else. But I know people that use Jungle Scout and Scoutly and other things that works great for them. So
Yeah, I know the other, again, when I told the people in the chat, I'm pretty much an open book, but so when I first started, I wanted to get an Amazon to kind of like overwhelm me. I was doing, retail arbitrage. I'm driving around. It's like, oh, this is driving me crazy. I can't find anything. And then I was gated and everything. And then I thought about selling books, this and that. And then I got involved with eBay. And again, I know all the apps typically have like, business or teams or whatever. So there was a question that came up from Maggie Doodle also. Is the Teams feature an extra charge?
It is. It's not a whole lot. It just depends on. So with Scout IQ, you can have a live only feature or you can have live and database. I have both live and database because many library book sales, you have no Wi-Fi. Like you're in a basement, cement, you have no service, no Wi-Fi. So I use database a lot with that feature. So between both of that and then the teams, because I only have one person, I feel like it's an extra $7 or $14 a month. It's not anything crazy. And for me, like I just have her triggers set to where it's taking out the $1 that I'm giving her for finding the book for me. And then I just factor in an additional $1. So I have my cost of goods and my triggers at $2. So she's finding at least $5 or $6 profit. And all she sees is like green or red, buy it or don't buy it. So I just really like that feature because it doesn't let her see too much behind the scenes. I mean, it's my sister, I trust her, but if I had an employee, it's just a really, really nice feature that I like.
Now, I know most of the apps have that type of feature. Is there a way that you can put in, like, say, Bluetooth headphones and you've got a tone, and when you're scanning, it'll beep?
Yeah,
like,
that's exactly what I do. I put in my iPod, my earpods.
Earpods, yep.
Yep. I have a Bluetooth
I know a little bit
scanner.
about this stuff. I'm just fall off the turnip truck.
I get my Bluetooth scanner and yeah, I mean, I just sit
when
there
you're doing
and
that kind of volume, it's like,
Mhm.
and sometimes it's like a competition, especially if you get maybe the first couple of people in a thrift shop, maybe they might be all resellers, and you're trying to beat them to the punch.
Yeah, it's funny. Some people get intimidated and they'll walk away from me, or or some people get right in my face, and I don't mind either way. We all, I know there's plenty of pie for me. I'm not gonna.
I've had people steal my cart, steal product in my cart, get in arguments with me when I was, waiting. And
Crazy.
I probably shared this story about a year and a half ago. Was as a Goodwill, and they used to have dollar sales on Sundays. So I would get there like 35, 40 minutes before. And if the weather wasn't crazy, I would sit outside and I, wait for them to, to open up. And then one time, and I was dealing with some health issues, and again, I tell people, be friendly. You never know, network, maybe you're talking to somebody and maybe they're they buy storage units or something. They happen to be at the thrift store, and you trick up a conversation. It's like,
and then you just made a connection.
I hate clothing, and maybe you're a clothing seller. So I would strike up conversation with people just to be nice and, kills the time. So this woman got in an argument with me. She says, why are you talking about your health condition? I said, because I want to. I said, if you have a problem with it, you can go sit in your car. And I'm not typically like that, but it's like, the older I get, the more I get like that. But it's like, I said, I'm not cursing. I'm not saying anything bad. I'm having a conversation with this person. If you don't want to listen to my conversation, you're more than welcome to go sit in your car. It
People are
wasn't nice,
weird.
but it's like, I'm just trying to have a conversation with somebody. Why are you interfering with my conversation?
That's so funny. People are weird.
I did want to get into conditions of books and how you determine that. And there was a question from Michelle.
Yeah.
When it comes to antiquarian books, what is your condition threshold? And I want you to get in a little bit. I mentioned earlier in a pre-chat. I want you to get a little bit into the conditions and types of things you look for, and I
Yeah.
guess there's differences between eBay and Amazon. So once you
Mhm.
answer Michelle's question, we'll get into that as well.
Yeah, so I do have quite a few. I have a playlist, a very detailed playlist on my YouTube channel. So if you want a very detailed breakdown, I would recommend you go and watch those videos. But Amazon has certain conditions, and eBay has certain conditions. Mercari has certain conditions. Every single platform defines good or used or whatever a little bit different. Amazon is a little bit different than eBay. So with eBay, I sell acceptable books often. I sell books that have extreme foxing, writing inside, or X library, messed up cover, like a lot of different, rough situations with the book, and I sell them. When it comes to antiquarian, I would not sell it if the cover is completely falling off, if there's tons of missing pages, if it's just written all over. Like, it has to be really bad for me to not list it. Antiquarian by design is usually going to be rough. It's going to have damage and fraying on the spine. It's going to have foxing. Foxing is when there's tan or speckled, like brown spots or browning around the pages. It's going to have that because it's an old book. And most
What
people don't take good care of their older books. So that's just kind of what comes with it. So my condition threshold, I would say, is it can't be falling apart. Now I say that, but I did get in a free book pickup, someone just didn't know what to do with it and didn't want it anymore. And they had a old family Bible from 1805. And the front cover thing was completely off. The spine was completely off. It was nasty. I still sold it for $45 plus shipping.
oh,
And the person emailed me and said, "Thank you so much. This is beautiful. I'm going to restore it." So some people like projects too. So I don't do that often, but I did it because it was free inventory.
now you said I'm trying to recall what you said. I know you said you don't buy books if they're moldy, and was it water damage? I guess was the other thing you said.
Yeah, moldy and water damage I won't touch. Some people do. I mean, that's your choice, but I wouldn't want someone to sell me a book like that. So I won't buy it and try and resell it to somebody else.
Now, what about like that musty smell, like the basement smell or the old smell?
The
What do
old
you
book
do to get
smell,
that?
the only books that I would stray away from are the ones that smell like cigarette smoke, because that
Right,
is really hard to get out. It's
that's
possible,
bullshit.
but I
Yes,
don't have the resources and equipment to do that or the time. But yeah, the musty book basement smell, I mean, it usually airs out eventually, getting from where it is into your car, into your house, being outside like that, moving around. It usually goes away eventually, but I
I mean,
haven't
do
had
you
any
do
issues.
something? I know people are very sensitive to the sense of things. Do you do something and put it outside, or put it in a garage, or put something in there to absorb that
Sometimes,
smell?
sometimes, but for the most part, I just, I get it listed. I guess if it had a really strong bad odor, again, back to like smoking smell and stuff like that, I probably wouldn't even purchase it. If it
Right,
was from a free book pickup, I'd probably let it sit outside and see if that does anything. And then if not, then I would probably get with my recycler and see what we can do to get the
right.
pages recycled.
Just going to share Susan's comment, because us being resellers, we all go through this. She says, went to my first library sale. A fellow was obvious reseller by the bag of books he had collected and was scanning books. For kicks, I said, "Boy, you have a lot of reading to do there." He said, the next book he paused and said, "This looks like a good one." She says, "I wonder why it was so like secretive." Absolutely, Susan. I don't get it. I mean, there's resellers out
Some
there.
people
This
genuinely
is it.
just are uncomfortable, or they don't want other people to do what they're doing because they feel like they're going to be put out of business or something.
And the cherry on top of the cake, so to speak, or cupcake was it made me giggle because I watched Katie's channel. I've seen her in action, so I knew what he was up to. Thanks for sharing that,
You
Susan.
knew,
That's great.
Susan.
That's great.
Very cool.
Share Maggie's comments, a long one here. We've had some bad experiences with book sales, some with other resellers, and some with just regular buyers who don't like what we're doing. One guy followed my husband around yelling at him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's craziness. And apparently, Kelly likes going to library sales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
All about
prices
getting
are
books for
great.
free.
Yeah, they're really, really
You,
great.
there's a term you said. You think you said for library books. What was the term you used for it?
Ex-library, or if it's of antiquarian books, sometimes you'll see ex libris.
Ex libris. Okay.
But ex library is typically, and you'll see, that it's like stamped withdrawn, or, you know, there'll be stamping and stuff from the library all over it. So you just want to indicate that those are ex library books.
And you said, again, watching your videos, you say you don't mess at all with. I mean, you purchase library books, but you don't take like the cover off, or you don't take off the card, the rental card. You just leave it as is, and you just
Yep,
disclose when you're
I
listening.
just leave it as is for the most part. I know some people try and like take off stickers and do all these kinds of things. I just leave it as it is, because some people, like, that's the character that they're looking for. I sell those types of books all the time.
Right. So you just
Now,
disclose it in your listing, correct?
yeah, and I disclose it, and I take pictures of proper things so they can see what I'm disclosing in the description. Now, an ex-library book and then the same exact book, not ex-library, in a little bit better condition, this one's going to sell for more, obviously.
Right.
Ex-library is going to be under acceptable
Mm-hmm.
because there's markings and stampings all over it. But it still sells. I mean, you can still get some decent money on ex-library books. So.
Now you were saying again, you sell books on Amazon, eBay, and Etsy, and I guess certain books you're gated on Amazon, so you would sell them on eBay or Etsy. What other reason would you sell a book on eBay or Etsy as opposed to Amazon?
Honestly, Etsy is just such a good vintage and antique market, because
Okay.
that's just their aesthetic. Like, that's what Etsy's known for, is vintage and crafty stuff. So Etsy, I do that. And then eBay, the same concept. Like, if I can't send it into Amazon, I'll see what I can do on eBay. That's kind of like how they go hand in hand and supplement each other in my business setup right now.
Gotcha. Okay, I just want to. I kind of touched on everything I wanted to touch on, guys. I just wanted to see if there are any questions in the chat. So again, I've been trying to catch them. I did miss one, and Katie caught it from Randy. Appreciate that. So my moderators, guys, if you'll check the chat, see if there's anything I missed. If there are any new questions that want to come out for Katie, and I'll just do some small housekeeping, and then we'll get back into the question section. Again, guys, I always tell you that my channel is non-monetized. So again, I have some Amazon affiliate links. So if you guys are purchasing anything from Amazon, please consider clicking on one of my links. I have reselling supplies, which you can use, obviously. But if you click on one of the links, it helps me out. Amazon pays me a small commission. Doesn't cost you anything additional. So if you're buying your shipping supplies, you're buying whatever, diapers, food, whatever, just keep me in mind. Again, it helps offset some of my expenses. I was telling Katie I'm having some issues. I don't think I share this with you guys, but my laptop crashed. So I had to buy a new laptop. So, sometimes when it rains, it pours. So any little bit you can do would be appreciated. And again, I have Randy's website, Randy Facing's website, in my description section as well. If you buy anything from Randy, you just register with AE next to your name for AdamsExploits, and Randy will pay me a commission. So, and I also buy me a cup of coffee. So I'm just going to touch on two other things, guys. I'm just going to check the chat for questions and see if there's anything I may have missed. Here's a question from Larry. How about permabound books?
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about permabound books. Here's what I know. What I know about them is I've seen them mostly in like libraries and with some schools. I think it's like a special type of binding with books. I don't know a whole lot about them, and honestly, I don't know that I would know that it's a permabound book unless I did research on the book and then found out that it was a permabound book.
Okay.
So, I as far as I know, they're just like more sturdier books that are higher quality,
Okay.
but I
I'm
don't know a
having
whole lot
Larry
about
come on the
them.
channel soon, so he can discuss that when he comes on.
Perfect. There you go. There
There
you
was a
go.
question from Lisa C. Lisa, I always appreciate being in the chat. It's good to have you in my chat. I appreciate being here all the time. Her question was, what sources do you use to price antiquarian? I can't pronounce it.
Yeah,
Antiquarian books.
so I start with eBay first. I always, do a Google search because sometimes other websites that I've never heard of will pop up with that book too. I will look at AbeBooks, I'll look at Biblio, and then there's a couple websites that I used to have a subscription for. I got rid of that subscription, and so I can't remember one of them off the top of my head. Um, I want to get back into having a subscription with like an antiquarian um, site.
Okay.
And then there's another one, and I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Steve Eisenstein, who runs Rare Book Cafe on YouTube and Facebook. And he has a Facebook page or group, a Facebook group about rare and vintage books.
Okay.
He
So I'm
talks
sure they
about it a lot. I
Google's
can't
your
remember
friend, so
what
I'm sure they could
website that
work that. Yep.
is. But so there's a lot of different resources. But honestly, like Google is my best friend.
I said Google's your friend.
You type in the book and all these sites that I'm saying are going to pop up when you type it into Google and you click shopping, all those websites are going to pop up. So
I was going to ask you this question too, and I'm glad you reminded me about it, Randy. I put it in my notes and I forgot to mention it to Katey. Best practices for packing and shipping of books.
yeah, so I use bubble mailers for all my books, regardless of the value. If it is over $20 to $30, I will then switch to first class or priority shipping. If it's antiquarian or vintage and we're talking high dollar amount, over the typical insurance with priority, I will always use priority with that. Like my $500 book I sold, I used priority. I got additional insurance, like because with media mail, you kind of have to be prepared for it to potentially get lost, and you can only get your money back for your media mail postage. You
Yeah,
cannot get
there's no
money back
tracking
for the
though
value
either.
of the
Yeah.
item. So,
As an
yeah,
aside, and I tell people all the time I'm ADD. I want to ask you this question before I forget. There's no tracking with media mail.
there
So
is.
you have tracking with media mail? Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I hope there
you
was
have
no
tracking
tracking.
with media mail. The downside of media mail is it's like 7 to 10 business days.
That's what it
It's
was.
long. It takes a
You're
really
right.
long time, but it's super cheap. And you have to be careful. You can't put any thank you cards in there. You can't put any notes. You can't put any bookmarks. You can't put in like comic books, can't go media mail because they have advertisement. Video games can't go media mail. Like there's a lot
Okay.
of things that can't go media mail because there's advertisements in
The
there. Like there's a
magazines
lot of
with the
stupid
advertisements,
rules
right?
with it, but it's cheap, and
Right.
so most of my books are listed with free media mail shipping, or they can pay for priority. So it depends how
Okay.
fast they want it. If they want it quick, then they can pay for the priority. If they don't care about getting it quick, then they get, the perk of the free shipping.
Now, do you ship certain books? I guess the value of the book in a box. Do you have special shippers for certain books, the value of the book,
Yes.
as opposed
So
to padded flat rate mail or whatever?
typically, especially if it's a heavier book, I would say most books like over $50 are gonna end up in a padded mailer and then into a box. Like I
Okay.
go pretty above and beyond. I
Okay.
do a lot of sets. So I have large book sets that sometimes, or large book lots. So that'll sometimes warrant needing to use a box anyways. So like recently I sold a bunch of kids Dear America books. I sold 40 of them for I think $65. And that, it was a lot. So you have to put it in a box, and then you put, I put some bubble wrap and things like that. I mean, they're acceptable condition books, they're kids' books, but
Right.
I still kind of do that added protection with them. I just do what I would want as a reader myself. That's kind of how I do it.
It's funny you said this, and I use this on my channel all the time: under promise and over deliver. And you said that in
Yes.
your videos.
Yep.
I'm a big believer of that.
Yep. Absolutely.
Now, so you'll bubble wrap the books, you also put them in, like, obviously with the mail or whoever you're using,
Mhm.
there can be issues with, especially with coming in the nasty weather and spring with the rainy weather. Do you put them in plastic as well, or do you just bubble wrap and then put them in a?
So the
How do you
bubble
ship them?
mailers that I use are plastic bubble mailers.
Right.
So they're like the waterproof, and
Okay.
then they've got that bubble inside. So I
So
haven't had
you
any
wouldn't put it
issues.
in
Like,
an additional in a plastic bag inside of it.
I haven't had any issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just as an aside, Maggie said one of her favorite sites for pricing is Addall, ADDAIL, I
Add-on.
believe, .com.
Okay. Cool. There's
And
like
Maggie's
so
one of the
many
booksellers
sites
I have
out
on my
there.
channel before.
Every
She's
time I
good as
meet a
well.
new book person that's into vintage and antiquarian, you hear about a new site. There's just so many out there.
Okay, two quick things, and then I want to get into your YouTube channel so people can learn more about selling books. We had mentioned before Fiverr, and you'd also mentioned was it Workup?
Upwork, but
Upwork. I'm
Fiverr
sorry,
is what
I
I
was
have
scrolling
the
my notes. I
experience
didn't
with.
see it, so I didn't want to.
Yeah,
Upwork.
Upwork is another site, but I have never used that. So the reason we're getting into Fiverr now is because I am also a writer and an editor and a proofreader. And so Fiverr is what I have used when I first started getting into editing and proofreading. I also do transcription now as well for people that submit audio files to me. So Fiverr is like my favorite platform. Like, I could go completely freelance and put myself out there with my own website. I could do both. Like, I could do Fiverr and have my own website
Right.
and put myself out there freelance. But for now, like, Fiverr, I like it. It's kind of controlled. The job and the expectations are laid out very clear. Fiverr handles the payment processing. Like, I kind of like the feature that Fiverr offers with handling it for you and being that facilitator. And they advertise you pretty well. Like, I have, when I first started out, I had no reviews. I had no anything, and people were reaching out to me for jobs. And it's nice because they can also leave tips. So you can get paid,
Yeah,
your rate, and then they can leave you a tip. So
you said that. I
that's pretty
wasn't
cool.
aware of that. You said that in your videos. And guys, I'm just trying to incorporate that a little bit into the show because we're all out there trying to make additional money. So
Yeah,
there are some side
absolutely.
hustles. I had a side hustle show last week talking about side hustle. So I know Katey did this. I just wanted to bring it in. So again, additional way to earn income. So
Yeah, absolutely.
okay, there's a question here. So there's a question or a comment. Okay, Larry said so. Larry has it on his video, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, Easton
Larry,
Press
we'll
is
have
a
you on the show
nice.
hopefully next week, so you can show that as well.
Yeah,
And I'm
Easton
sure you have it
Presses
too,
are
right?
nice books.
Do you have the packing on one of your videos as well? Packing books?
No, I haven't.
Haven't done it yet.
My content, I just haven't been able to focus a whole lot on my channel, so I haven't gotten into that. A lot of people request a bunch of different things, and I just haven't gotten
That's
to
a good
all of it
segue.
yet. But going into the new year, I'm gonna have a lot more different content on my channel for sure.
Yeah, that's what I want to segue into your YouTube channel for like I said, you concentrate mainly on selling on eBay because I guess because there's quite a few other videos on selling Amazon FBA books. You concentrate mainly on selling books through eBay.
Yeah, back in 2019, I received a bunch of free books from a friend, and I didn't know about Amazon yet. So I found out about Amazon a couple months later. So I already had an eBay account. So I was like, cool, maybe I can sell these on eBay and make some money. And I went to YouTube to try and like get an idea of how selling books on eBay works. And I couldn't find anything. Like, I found a couple videos. One of them was like 11 months old. Another video was just not, it just wasn't a good video. Like, someone literally just like took their phone, and it was like a 3-minute video.
Okay.
So I was just like, really, there's nothing out here. So I kind of just did my own thing, taught myself, found other people that were like me that were doing books on eBay and Amazon, found people that so I found my community, learned a lot. And then in February of this year, I decided, you know what, I'm going to start putting out content that I wish I would have had 2 years ago. And so that's what I'm doing. But I make my channel about reselling books, writing, and reading, because those are my passions. So on my channel, you're going to see a mixture of me talking about writing. You're going to see a mixture of me just giving like book reviews or books that I'm reading or books that I want to read. And then talking about reselling books on those different platforms. So yeah, that's the main idea of my channel, because those are the 3 things I like. So, and they kind of go together. And so, yeah, we'll see. I've had a lot of people give me feedback that I need to have a different channel talking about each thing, but I'm going to give it a try my way. And if I need to pivot, I can in the future.
Right. Well, guys, I'm going to put this hat on because I read on Katey's website that she's a big fan of Halloween. So a little small for my head, but well, I don't usually wear hats, but it is what it is. I'm follically challenged, but
I love it. I love Halloween. I love horror. That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome.
Okay. Okay. So guys, if you want to learn more about reselling books, and especially with, geared down to eBay, obviously subscribe to Katey's channel, YouTube channel. And I have all that in the description section. I have Katey's Instagram, her YouTube channel, her TikTok channel, and one other thing. I think that anyway. Oh, her link tree, your link tree as well.
Yeah, my link
tree. So if you want to pop into her eBay store or whatever and purchase something, that's listed as well in the link tree. So you guys, that's all in the description of the video. So I appreciate you all being here. I always say your time is your most valuable asset. So I want to thank Katey. I thought we jammed in a lot of information in a little over an hour.
Thank you. A little over an hour.
So we try to keep it around an hour. And I want to thank Katey again, guys. And I want to thank those of you in the chat and those of you watching the replay. So again, hope to see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m., guys. Appreciate you being here. Take care now. And happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.